they didn't know. I'm very keen to know, did you do like a background information to find out their age, their education, if they were married or not? Because I think these factors would be critical to understand why this particular one or two women didn't know they were pregnant and yet they were. And then what have you done beyond just getting this number? Because as we move towards innovations in health, I think this data would be very, very important to develop a sort of a system to predict which particular women of reproductive age you need to target with a specific information about that. So do you have information about their background, where they're from, their age, their level of education, and yeah.
Thank you so much. Mine is a concern on, maybe I want to rock the boat from within. As here. And my concern is on Ms. Kamande's presentation on contraception use among the university students. Since the time nurses gave up health education, school health visits, mobile clinics, we've had a lot of complications in the community, in the schools, and these are some of the results that we are getting. I want to shake each and every one of us that we should go back to the schools. If 100% of our children, for example, who are in the universities, have procured an abortion backstreet, then it means that there is a lot of work to do. And I beg that we go back to that which we started with. Health education, school health programs should be started ASAP. Thank you.
But I also wanted to tell Commander that as much as you're talking about IUCD being a long term, we also have the pills that are taken as long term. Because when you talk about the girls taking the E-pills, and when they take the E-pills, they assume that it is supposed to be taken within the 120 days. And within the 120 days, we need to inform them about the short terms and about the long terms of which we were talking about. Then I also wanted to tell Leo, when we are doing sampling, I think we also need to know where we are and what we really want to achieve, because it never featured well at which percentage were we, and then we are trying to reach which percentage. Thank you.
Those are very stimulating papers. I have 3 short questions. One, on the adolescent contraception and sexuality. What is the degree of the involvement of parents in terms of their understanding of sexual growth and development, and how to handle advising or counseling their children on sexuality issues? Because they form a very important constituency. The second one is the issue of emergency contraception. In emergency contraception, how do you deal with the prevention of initiation of sex as an education? Because all of us here, one thing you can't forget is your first sexual experience in your life history. If I told you to spend at least 30 seconds to remember how it happened, then you, with that remembrance and that memory, you begin to know how it happens and how you can develop programs on how to help others cope with it. Because sexual maturity is a good thing. The trigger for you to have sex is a good thing. It means you're alive. Now, how do you cope with not having it at the wrong time? All right? Or how do you cope with preventing the consequences of that sex at that time? Because we avoid 3/4 of the question.
Yeah, in our data collection, yeah, we had a system of collecting the age bracket, the marital status, and the education level. Only that I didn't make it in the presentations, but it is there. Yeah, then on how to educate this one or two or the rest mothers who don't know whether they are pregnant or not, we are in collaboration with the CHVs. That they are doing, when they are doing their sessions on door to door, they are educating the mothers on importance of starting early. And C, there is also community dialogues and health talks that we normally attend to educate mothers to know that they should start their NC early enough.
For preventing early initiation of sex among adolescents till the age of campus. From my results, majority of the respondents heard about the emergency contraception from school and from their friends, meaning that we have to bring on board the parents, and the parents should be involved so that they can work in collaboration with the school and the health providers to counsel and advise these students on the consequences of having early sex initiation, and also on the availability of this emergency contraception, because most of the students usually get this information from their peers, and majority of them usually don't have the correct information. Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to thank you, Dr. Ryle, for your question. I want to handle the one that is dealing with adolescent sexuality and how to involve the parents. When it comes to the adolescent reproductive health and development policy, the recommendations and the implementation is not just about parents, it's about the whole community, it's about religious organizations, it's about all levels of care, whether we are in the community or whether we are in level 6, and therefore all of us are involved. And so how do we involve parents? It's not for every patient that we involve the parents. We only involve the parents, for example, if they have issues with reasoning, maybe their IQ has an issue. Because one thing you realize about adolescents, they really love their privacy and they really love their confidentiality. Some of the comments we got in the questionnaires is, how could I speak when she was just looking at me? So we had a feeling like the she could be the mother or somebody who had brought them. How could I speak when she was just standing there? So the privacy issue, the confidentiality, unless there are other overriding indications, they supersede the other steps that we may take. We give health education every morning. We also do outreaches to schools and other areas. We actually reach out into the community. And I have a colleague who has started a radio program. She has worked with the adolescents for so long. She has started a radio program, and she personally actually goes to schools to reach out to them. And one of the things she covers is about adolescent sexuality. We also, when schools are open, the students are also, the adolescents are brought by school, maybe a school nurse, maybe a teacher, a counselor. So we also involve them. Apart from that, we also have support groups so that every adolescent who has an issue belongs to a certain support group. And therefore, as we move forward, please let us also take our place.
I just want to understand, because what I've seen from the adherence to policies is not strange. In fact, the study that was conducted by NCPD last year and launched last week indicated adherence to policies and guidelines at 43% in the country. So that tells you you are not wrong. What you found out is correct. So what are the reasons for non-adherence? This is what I'm looking for. What did you find are reasons, and what are the solutions? Thank you.
Sorry, this side, is there anyone who wants to ask?
Yeah, my question goes to Ms. Kamate. There is this of those who got unintended pregnancies, 100% had induced abortion. So my concern is probably what was the end or how many of these, because 100% is quite alarming. So we would need, probably we need to know how many of these had, how many of these were the ones who had unintended pregnancies. Thank you.
I have two questions for Christine, Mse and Kialo. For Christine, I will wish to know the religious influence in promoting the adolescent reproductive health policy, because we find out sometimes that there's so much influence from the religious when it comes to uptake and promotion of this. Then for Kialo, this is my recommendation, maybe you would like to take, is that during the admission inception in universities, this is the area in which we should also have the opportunity to give right information to these people. Then mid-semesters, when they are having some activities, it should be the thematic area to also tackle so that they get the right information. Thank you.
I have three questions, one for each. For Leonard, I think the question has been asked, what was the age? But then my follow-up question was, these people came to the health facility anyway. Could they have come because of the pregnancy anyway, but then they presented with something else? And what is it that they were complaining about when they came? And then it would be nice to share your screening tool elements because of replicability. I mean, all these people probably would like to go and replicate. For Muse, I'm confused with your study because you are assessing adherence to policies, and then the two conclusions are adolescents are very happy. These policies are for giving services to the adolescents, and they are very happy. 81% of them are very happy. That's a high number. Then you are saying the adherence by healthcare workers is wanting. So what is making the adolescents happy? And these policies, are they then geared towards the adolescents, or are they policies for the health workers to satisfy the health workers' issues? We need to look at the policies that we make, because then it means that we sit in boardrooms, make policies, and they are not geared towards the people that we serve. The adolescents and youth have said, nothing for us without us. The one on our good students with my friend Teresa. Now, I wish you told us about the mixed attitudes, because you said there were mixed attitudes. What were these mixed attitudes? Because then you are coming out to recommend that we should provide the ECs in the school. But you are saying they are not using the school health services. So how sure are you that they will now use the school? Because the clinic is there, they are not using. Public hospitals are there, they are not using. So if you provide them there, how sure are you that they will use? And maybe taking of those pills could also have been circumstantial. Just like Dr. Rai says, what triggered that sexual activity? Could it have been circumstantial that now they had to take the EC? So providing pills in the school will not really help, other than then going back and looking at the root cause of why they first of all landed in that sexual activity. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I forgot to say this is Dr. Rose Patricia Olwach.
And I have one question to Ms. Kamande about the e-pills. It is disturbing me. I didn't get properly in your problem statement why it was the specific preventive measure for pregnancies that you chose, what was there that triggered you to study about the knowledge and attitude on e-pills, and also the choice or criteria of just picking within the university ladies from School of Health Sciences, because I was imagining that you could have even covered other people just to see, then you'd say something about the School of Health Sciences. So what triggered you? In the problem statement, you didn't say what really was happening there that really linked you just to the e-pills and not any other. Thank you.
I think everybody right here agrees on one thing in terms of transformation, that you've got to get what we call the health-seeking behavior. Do we all agree with that? We are like cutting branches of a tree, and we want to bring down the tree and leaving out the roots and the trunk. For example, when do young people begin to be conscious about their sexuality? Do we really know? We don't know. When children, young children, begin to ask you about their body parts, how do parents react? Yeah? Like this little boy who was bragging that she has a pipe to pee and the sister has nothing. She got such a big slap. She never raised that issue again. So from that point onwards, there were many questions, and everybody in this room has experienced questions from their little children. True or not true? But you don't have the method to respond to those questions. In other words, you are the primary educator who has zero knowledge, has no background, has not been oriented, and there is nobody who has developed a program for you. So you will release this person who you have made to believe that this thing is so secret that whatever happens, they will not tell you. Tell anybody else, but not mother, not father, right? Long time there was an auntie. It brings me, I'm a founder member of the Center for Studies of Adolescents, which was a precursor to the development of the policy. How did we get there? Way back in '94, me and Kamarogo were confronted with a young, beautiful girl from a very famous doctor as a daughter. She had gone, she was pregnant, she went to the back street, and being somebody of status, went to Nairobi Hospital. And what did they ask her to produce first? Money. She didn't have money, and she could not tell anybody. What happened? It was triggered. Within a short time, sepsis set in. So eventually, Nairobi Hospital told her, go to Kenyatta. The famous Ward 6. Ward 15. Yes. That day, I remember vividly, I was there with Kamarogo and Professor Marty. Strangely enough, this young girl was, the father was a classmate to Professor Marty in Makerere. She came toxic and died in our hands trying to resuscitate her. All right? We knew the family, we respected the family. When we cried as young medical students, what did we do? We debated and said, now we must set up an outfit that can help young people. So we set the first conference in Mombasa 35 years ago to deliberate and come out with ways of helping young people. So the work which has not been done is the parents and helping young people treat sex as a normal thing and not as a strange thing. So that if they are pregnant, they can tell you, father or mother, there is something here. What can I do? Right? You would react violently now because you have not been counseled or educated on this thing. And that is where your programs need to go. So that when they come to college, they are mature, they understand, they know what to do. Thank you.
Study was done in Garissa. And in Garissa, there was items that were statistically significant. And these ones included knowledge. If the healthcare giver had knowledge on adolescent reproductive health, adolescent reproductive health, and also the policy, they were likely to adhere. The other one was attitude. Those who are positive towards their, in 2000, now the first study was done in 2012. Having developed the policy in 2003, and rollout had taken quite a while. So it was the early stages of the policy in 2012. So attitude in some of the healthcare workers was negative. So those who thought some of the items in the policy were obnoxious, they were unlikely to adhere to the policy. Age was also another thing. The younger healthcare givers were adhering to the policy more than the older ones. And then the other one was religion. Those who were Christians in Garissa were adhering to the policy more than those who were Muslims. And then the other one was the regularity of support supervision. The areas that were getting regular support supervision from those who are overseeing the care, they were likely to adhere to the policy than those who are not regularly supported. So what is the religious influence in the adolescent reproductive health and development policy? I think with the answer to the first question, I've already said it. We asked for the religion of the healthcare giver because we thought it had a connotation to the adherence. And therefore, when we realized that it was in Northeastern, when we realized it was only the Christians that tended to adhere more than the Muslims, we took in the imams. And when the imams came and we spoke to them and they saw the sense in what we were talking about, even though we didn't have a follow-up study, we believe we would get a better adherence. In Garissa, the adherence level was 62.2 to the policy at that time. The other comment I would like to give is on the confusion that Dr. Rose Patricia has expressed, that the adherence is wanting, but the adolescent is happy. Remember, the adolescent reproductive health and development policy was supposed to give the characteristics of the healthcare, the characteristics of the healthcare giver, and also the other things, the services that were supposed to be available for the adolescent, including, it had little details that we found very, that made setting up youth-friendly services very easy. And therefore, we looked at those characteristics in the healthcare giver. One of the things I've not said, because it was not statistically significant, we had an older population. If you remember my mean age for the healthcare practitioner, it was 36 years. So some of the comments of the adolescents were, please bring people that are our age mates to serve us in this. There are things we would like to bring out, but we can't speak to these people. One adolescent said, there's an old woman here who is very unkind. Things like that. They make your hairs to stand, but they direct how you're going to streamline your services. So why are we talking about adherence being wanting? Because there's a level that we wanted it to be at. It is wanting because we didn't reach the level that we were targeting. And that is why I've not even dared to give you the level that we were at. Then when you're looking at the qualities of this hall, why are we looking at the qualities of this hall? Because there's a standard in the hotel that is guiding us on how the qualities of this hall is. So we can assess that. But unless now we come back to you people who are using the hall and see what you say about it, it may be a standard for the hotel, but we are unhappy about it. And that's why we looked at the health caregiver and also looked at what the adolescents were saying. And I think I want to leave it there. Thank you.
Okay, let me respond to the number of students who had procured 100% unsafe abortion. It was 19 out of the 79. So the 19 who had unintended pregnancies, all of them procured unsafe abortions. Okay, the next issue was on mixed attitude. When I said the students had mixed attitude, this is what I meant. Some of them agreed that the emergency contraception, when taken on the recommended time and dosage, it would prevent unwanted pregnancies, and that they would recommend the use of emergency contraception to their friends. Now, the other percentage had a negative attitude in that, according to them, they said that the use of emergency contraception promoted promiscuity among students, and that if their partners knew that they had accessibility to emergency contraception, they would not be willing to use condoms or any other method of protection. On the recommendation part, I recommended that more seminars and conferences should be held to talk to these young students so that they can have a positive attitude towards emergency contraception. By so doing, if these students get to have a positive attitude, they'd be willing to have access to this emergency contraception within their university clinics or even in public health clinics where they can be advised on the usage, and they won't be fearing to be judged or to be stigmatized by maybe the healthcare providers. The reason why I chose students from the College of Health Sciences is because these are students who have been educated on the various methods of emergency contraception, and they are the tomorrow's care providers. So, according to me, I thought that they should be having the adequate amount of knowledge that they have been taught concerning this emergency contraception. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rose Patricia, for the questions. The first question was on the screening tool. Actually, in most facilities, currently there is HIV testing screeners, eligibility screeners in every facility. In actually most facility, I will not say every because I don't know other parts. It is these HIV testing eligibility screeners that we trained on how to screen for pregnancy. And the screening, we developed a stamp that is just stick to the group in the book, and there is some questions that are simple questions in regard to the signs and symptoms of pregnancy. And the first one was on LAP, the date. The other one was on contraceptive method used, contraceptive due date or expiry. Then the experience. The experience, here there was a yes and no questions. This nausea, breast tenderness, spotting, unusual tiredness. Though that was on screening tool, pregnancy screening tool. And on age bracket, in the presentation we said that we were screening 15 to 49 years. those are the women within the productive age. And in the collection tool, we segregated it to 15 to 19, 20 to 24, then 25 to 49 years. In the facility, we are screening all mothers who are coming to seek any other services in the facility. So it was for all mothers attending or seeking other services in the facility. Thank you.